Hello, good morning. How are you doing today? I always feel like I'm fixing my hair as soon as we go live, but that's just the way it is. Good morning. Welcome to, I think this might be our fifth episode, maybe, of It's Morning Somewhere, which I'm really excited about because I've really enjoyed going live on Wednesday morning. It's Wednesday mornings and talking about different things and just sort of connecting in a new way and in a kind of a different way. A lot of my videos on YouTube or just in general have been very much training videos, teaching videos on interview skills and how to become a flight attendant. And it's what we call evergreen content. So it's content that's just sort of, you could watch it at any time and it would be helpful and it would solve the problem that you probably Googled to come across it. But It's Morning Somewhere show is a little bit more current, a little bit more relevant to the week that we just had. So today we're going to be talking about, as you could probably see in the description, today we are going to be talking about some pretty important things. If this is your first time tuning in to It's Morning Somewhere, good morning. If you're watching it live, it is currently 9 a.m. in Hawaii where I live, but it's not morning for most of the U.S., which is why the show is called, well, It's Morning Somewhere. It's morning here. I'm on my second cup of coffee, which means I'm able to form complete sentences here for this show. I'm Abbie Unger. I'm the owner and founder of Flight Attendant Career Connection, which is a company that offers resources, community, encouragement, and coaching to aspiring flight attendants. That is our goal. We help people who want to become flight attendants or people who want to level up in their flight attendant career, work on their interview skills, find the right airline for them, and just make all of their dreams come true and land their dream job. See what I did there? Land. So that's what Flight Attendant Career Connection is about. Earlier this week, so today we're going to be talking about Black Lives Matter, basically. So if you read in the description, we're going to be talking about race and things like that. So a lot of people, that's uncomfortable. I mean, I'll be honest, it makes me uncomfortable too. It does. But that doesn't mean that it's not the right thing to do. I do feel completely inadequate as a white American to have an opinion about this. But here's the thing. I've been listening. I've been trying to listen. And what I'm hearing from people who are, for Black people, African American people, is that they don't care if I am, as a white person, am uncomfortable speaking out, or they don't care if I personally feel inadequate or out of place. They don't care that I kind of feel bad about it. What they care about is my actions and what I actually do and what I actually say. So that's why we're here today. I am asking for grace from my viewers. I'm asking for an open mind. And I'm asking for those who this feels uncomfortable and inappropriate to sort of ask yourself, why does this feel uncomfortable and inappropriate? So that's what we're going to be kind of talking about today. Now, let's go ahead and dive in. So what we do for It's Morning Somewhere is we always start with current events. So I am going to start with current events and who's hiring. So we're going to kind of jump into there for right now first. So first of all, Mesa Airlines did stop accepting applications this week. So they closed down their portal. They were one of the airlines that was still accepting applications even through sort of the COVID shutdown, and still sending out video interview invitations. I imagine that part of the reason that they have stopped is I imagine that they've probably reached their threshold where they have a nice chunk of people who have been successful with the video interview, and they're going to be ready for the next step of the interview when they are ready to hire again, which more than likely will be sooner rather than later for Mesa, because because I don't know why they would invest the time in video interviews if they thought it was going to be 3 years. Also, regional airlines are going to be hiring before some of those mainline or legacy carriers are going to be hiring. So currently, the last that I checked, it appears that Breeze Airways is still accepting applications. Breeze is a startup airline that has not yet launched, and we don't know when it's going to launch. And from what I can tell, no one has heard back from them. So put your application in if you're interested. It's the founder. The founder of Breeze was also part of the founding team for JetBlue. So you can assume that they may have like a similar flavor, just for reference point of view. Also, Omni Airlines is still accepting applications, holding a face-to-face interview, invitation only, in Dallas in June. Some people have received invitations to that. Some people have received thanks but no thanks emails, which would be, not right now, maybe apply again later kind of emails. And then some people have not heard back yet, just an update. So maybe you fall into one of those categories. And then we also, but I did get some exciting news. I heard from a client this week that they actually got a phone call from Frontier. Now, this client, where they were in the process is they had already applied before COVID shut everything down. They had already done their video interview even before everything was shut down. And then, of course, had not heard from Frontier since, March or so. And then they heard this week and were able to get a phone interview. And there's no scheduled face-to-faces yet, but it sounds like that is going to be coming up soon. And then I also have some clients that are in the JetBlue hiring pool that have received some communication from JetBlue that is positive and encouraging, which makes us think that there's possibly maybe going to be a training class later this year or early 2021. So the reason that I bring this up is, first of all, to make sure that you feel hopeful and encouraged in the process if you're an aspiring flight attendant. And also because I don't think that it's fair to just say like, oh, they're going to be hiring soon, or, oh, nobody's going to hire for 3 years. I like it when we have actual facts. I don't like to, I do give my opinion. I do think that there will be opportunities, lots of opportunities next year, into this year, end of this year, into next year, to become a flight attendant if you would like to be a flight attendant. But I also think, my opinion, that the mainline carriers, if you're looking at Delta, United, American, Southwest, Hawaiian, Alaska, those may not be an option for longer than 18 months. So that's my opinion. And then the facts would be that a couple airlines are hiring, and a couple airlines are reaching out, and a couple airlines are sending out encouraging emails to people who do have current job offers. So that's kind of what's going on. Also, what's going on in the industry is more airlines are sending out buyout offers, which would be an offer that says, look, we need to reduce the number of people that work here. So we know some of y'all either have a family you want to raise, or a hobby you want to work on, it's even in the language, or, you're really close to retirement. So you were probably going to retire in the next couple of years anyways. We're going to sweeten the deal so that if you go ahead and separate from the company voluntarily, as opposed to a non-voluntary furlough or a involuntary furlough, involuntary. If you voluntarily will separate from the company, then we will give you a bonus. And every airline has a different bonus. It usually involves some severance pay, some flight benefits for an amount of time. It also sometimes includes insurance, health insurance premiums being paid for a certain amount of time. And it's different for every airline. And then it's different for every work group within that airline, because the unions are also involved in this negotiation. So we're seeing more of that. Southwest came out on June 1st, their extended leave program, as well as their voluntary separation. We've already seen Delta's, and I believe United's has already come out over the last couple of weeks. I can't remember off the top of my head about American. So somebody knows, pop that in the comments. I believe they probably have already come out with it, or it's coming out soon. So all of this is for these bigger airlines that are offering these voluntary separations and these leaves, is to allow them to shrink their work pool without basically having people volunteer, like, who would like to go? Who's kind of thinking about they would probably rather go? Raise your hand. All right, you get extra lollipops and you can go, and now nobody had to be kicked out. Is sort of how these leaves work, which are these voluntary separations, which is nice. I love that about aviation, is they usually will let you volunteer for stuff before they just make you do it. Not always, but that's what we're seeing right now, which is kind of cool. So that's sort of what's going on right now in aviation as far as that is concerned. We are seeing an uptick in people buying tickets, people traveling, which is really exciting and encouraging as long as people are staying safe and healthy, which it appears that kind of is the case. So that's pretty cool, and that's really encouraging too. So I know more cities are opening, more states are opening. We're getting more open here in Hawaii, although we're still not open to tourism yet. There's still 14-day quarantine, but actually Hawaii's in negotiations. They've almost reached an agreement with Japan to allow travelers to come from Japan here to Hawaii without having to do that quarantine. I'm not sure what all parameters are in there, but it's kind of interesting that the government here in Hawaii said it was easier for them to negotiate a kind of a plan with Japan than it was with the mainland US. So I don't know what that says about anything, but I just thought that was interesting. So now we're going to go ahead. Normally the next thing that we do is we talk about tools for takeoff, which is when I talk about my current obsession favorite tool for traveling. But we're actually going to flip the order, and we're going to go straight to community question, because my tools for takeoff for today is actually in response to the community question. So today's community question is, I don't have it in front of me, but it would be super cool if I did. Y'all know me, always super on top of it and being prepared. I'm going to go ahead and pull it up. So the community question for today is, why are we talking about all this race stuff on a career site? So earlier this week, I posted a post in support of Black Lives Matter in my Facebook group, Flight Attendant Career Connection. So I've already explained what Flight Attendant Career Connection is all about. So y'all know it's a career site. It's a place for people to network and work on their interview skills, basically, and to talk about aviation. But I felt like I actually, at the encouragement, I'll go ahead and tell y'all, Haley Woods of Girls Love Travel is the one who gave me the courage to, and that's what it was. It was, I was nervous. I was, like I told y'all, I was uncomfortable, but that's not what this is about. It's not about Abbie feels uncomfortable. I didn't know. And Haley Woods posted a very beautiful and powerful and in some ways divisive, because she drew a line in the sand and she marked where she stood, post in Girls Love Travel, which is her Facebook group. If you haven't joined yet, it's amazing. It's for women. Those of us who identify as women are welcome to join, about how Girls Love Travel, it has over 1 million members, how Girls Love Travel was in support of Black Lives Matter. And I thought, holy cow, that's how you do it. Okay. So I went ahead and I did the same thing, because she gave me a little bit of courage to go ahead and speak the truth and speak out. So here's what happened. So I posted Black Lives Matter as a post in support of Black Lives Matter. The way that I look at it is just like how we, we say in aviation that we're all brothers and sisters in wings, and that we are all united by wings. And, when a plane crashes and we see a plane go down, and it's a plane from another country, or it's a plane from, a different type of plane or another airline, or who knows, whatever it is, we grieve. As aviation professionals, we grieve. It doesn't matter if it's our airline. It doesn't matter if we knew the people. It doesn't even matter if it's an American-based airline, if it's in our country, if it's not. We grieve. We share pictures of the flight attendants' faces. We know their names. We say their names. We remember them, because we are connected and we are united by wings. And we are part of a very, very special community as aviation professionals. And I thought about the way when you're on a plane and there's an emergency, there is a fire or a medical emergency, how we jump in. it doesn't matter if we work for the airline. It doesn't matter if we are on our airline, if we're on in another country on a different airline with a different race of people with a different language. We jump in. There's been times that I have picked up trash on a flight because the flight attendants were working with someone with a medical emergency. So I was able to jump in and pick up trash so we help. We help out. We see where there's a need and we help. I knew that they were busy. They were working on something super important. So I found something that I did, so I wasn't even in the medical emergency and I was still helping. And I thought about how we're so quick to do that. And I thought that is what Black Lives Matter and the African-American people of color, Black people of color, need from Flight Attendant Career Connection right now. They need us to jump in and say, we stand beside you. You have an emergency that you're working on, and we're here. We will get you the EEMK. We will pick up the garbage. We will take over compressions. We will fight the fire. We will assess the situation. We will reseat the passengers. We will do whatever that we need to do to help you through your emergency situation. We are here to support you. And I even shared a photo, which I'm going to see. I think I'm going to be able to pop this up. There it is. So I even showed a photo that was very educational to me. Y'all, I have not been, I'm still not perfect, but I can look back since Flight Attendant Career Connection started almost 7 years ago. And at the beginning, I didn't know, did not lead as well as I could have when it came to supporting all the different people of color that were in my group. Just because I didn't know any better, but now I do know better, so I'm going to do better. But this post was very educational to me. So if you're wondering why we don't say, why it is wrong to say all lives matter in response to Black Lives Matter, why that's wrong and hurtful, this is why. So this picture here, you can read it, it's on the screen. Basically, one house is on fire. The little dude is squirting water on a house that's not on fire because he knows that everyone's house is important. Everyone's house is important, which is absolutely true. But not everyone's house is on fire. And that's the point. That's the point of Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter, their house is on fire. So for us to say, well, we're just going to squirt water, everybody's house is matters. Well, yes, everyone's life matters too, but not everyone's life is in danger. And I thought that was very eye-opening to me. And I really, really loved that graphic because I do think that hopefully it's eye-opening as to why that's hurtful. It's hurtful and it's not helpful and it's completely inappropriate. To say all lives matter when someone says Black Lives Matter, because we all know that, So not long after I posted that post, and the feedback was actually pretty good, thankfully. I also made it clear in my post that that I'm the boss around here, that this is my group, and this is what our group believes. And if you don't like this, you're welcome to leave. That's fine. You're welcome to leave. But we're not, but this is where we stand. This is not a question. This is not a forum for discussion. So I don't know if people left. I'm sure they did. What I do know, though, is a few hours later, a post came up for approval that was amazingly beautiful, divine intervention in its most literal sense. And it was a story about a Southwest flight attendant, a Black Southwest flight attendant who was going to work this week. And she was grieving and she was heartbroken and she was sad and she was anxious and she was scared and she was just really, really, really hurting. And she prayed on the way to work because she knew she was going to go and smile in front of all of these passengers and that they were going to come on board and she was going to do her job and she was going to keep them safe and provide and keep them comfortable and, care for them and comfort them because she's a flight attendant and that's what she was going to do. And during boarding, she noticed that a white gentleman boarded with a copy of the book, White Fragility. And she had heard that that was a good book for people to read to kind of understand more about what we need to do as white people and about systematic racism and all sorts of things that we as privileged white people just don't know because we are privileged enough to not have to know it. But now it's our responsibility to learn it. And she thought, I'm going to go talk to him if I get the chance because I'm curious to know what he thinks about that book. So after she did her service, she went and sat next to him. He was near the back of the airplane, and everyone has masks on, of course. So she's sitting there. The row was actually empty. So he was in the window and she was able to sit on the aisle, and she asked him about the book, and they were able to have a discussion about the book that he was about halfway through with it, and he was really enjoying it. And it was really eye-opening to him. And he had already learned a lot about it. And then he shared with her that he was actually the CEO of American Airlines, that his name was Doug Parker, and he was the CEO of American Airlines, flying on the last row of a Southwest plane going to Florida. And that right there, and they were able to just really offer hope for each other. There was a lot of encouragement that he was able to offer to her. And to think about the fact that one of the white men, I mean, talk about privilege. And I'm not saying that ugly, but I mean, he's the CEO of American Airlines. He has everything that he wants. He was learning so that he can do better, and he can do better by his organization, and how change can come from the top, and just how cool that was, that it was such a divine moment for them. And, I thought that I personally, on a very selfish reason, thought that that was so cool. I was super blessed by it because I had just written a post about how no matter what airline we're from, we have to come together to support what is right and to offer assistance when it's needed. And these two people from two different airlines, meet on this airplane. And if you Google it, it's made the news now, so you can read about it. Doug Parker actually sent an email out as well from his point of view. I was able to read the flight attendant's point of view first, and it was shared in the group. And it was just really, really beautiful. And there was just so much love and life in it. But then people started getting mad. People started getting hurt. I started getting posts that needed to be approved that were asking to be approved. You can't post in the group without an admin approving it. They were saying things like this question: why are we talking about this in a career site? This is inappropriate. I started getting private messages. Why is this in your group? I didn't come here to talk about race stuff. If I want to talk about race stuff, I'll go somewhere else. I'll go watch the news. I don't know why. You don't understand how violent Black Lives Matter movement is. You don't understand. What about all lives? I don't even need to. Y'all know what they said. You know what they said because you see it or you've posted it. I did have to remove and block some people from the group because it was clear in my post that is what was going to happen. And so I thought that it would be appropriate to talk about that here as well. On YouTube, all of that happened inside my little safe bubble of Flight Attendant Career Connection. Now I have almost 80,000 members in there. And so it's not a tiny group, but it is a bubble. It's not public. This is public. And so I wanted to make sure that outside of Flight Attendant Career Connection, it was also proclaimed that Flight Attendant Career Connection and I do support Black Lives Matter, because I don't even really have a great just because it's right. That's the right thing to do. And so that's why we're talking about it here. And I didn't want to have an argument in my Facebook group about why this stuff is on a career site, but it's on a career site because my site, Flight Attendant Career Connection, is not a career site. It is a community of people that have a similar career goal and similar career aspirations. But it is not a career site. It is a community. It's a community. Communities are made up of people. It is a group of people that have a similar interest. That's what it is. And up until now, our similar interest has been becoming a flight attendant, being successful as a flight attendant, sharing information about being a flight attendant, aviation and travel. That's what the group has been primarily about. But that doesn't mean that the group is just a career site. It's not, y'all. It's a community of people. And just like when there's a hurricane on the East Coast and we talk about it and we say, check in if you live in Houston. I've got a house here if you're evacuating from Miami. Here's the last flight. I just saw Americans fill in a flight with family members to get out of San Juan before Maria hits. Just like we post that stuff, I was going to cuss, I'm not going to. Just like we post that stuff, when there's an emergency and people's lives are at stake, we're going to post Black Lives Matter because there's an emergency and people's lives are at stake. It's the same thing. And I don't know why people don't understand. I mean, I do know why, but hopefully now you maybe have thought about it in a different way. So today's takeoff tools is the book White Fragility. I went on YouTube this morning and it's in the description, the link on Amazon. I went in to Amazon this morning, and it is the #1 book on Amazon right now. Not in its category. It's the #1 book on Amazon, which I hope that that if you are still feeling scared about what's going on, I hope that statistic you find encouraging. Because out of millions and millions of books, this book that is 2 years old, it's not a new release popping off now. No, this book is 2 years old and it's now #1 on Amazon, which means millions of people are buying it. So I hope that you do find that encouraging. That is pretty much the end of what I have today. I don't really have any great, this isn't like this isn't really one of those ones where we have like a little song and dance at the end. But if you found this encouraging, I hope that you would share it or give it a thumbs up or give it a positive comment, especially if you're a white person, because I think that as many of us that are white and privileged need to make sure that we are, giving the thumbs up. If you're not giving a thumbs up or this is great or an I agree, you know what? It's assumed that you thumbs downed it in your brain. That's just assumed. So you have got to thumbs up it, or it will be assumed that it's a thumbs down. And I don't know. I don't care if it's fair or not. That's just honestly what happens. If you are a person of color and you have something that you would like to share with me, something that you would like for me to know or learn, I am definitely open to that. If you still don't agree with me, I don't care. So don't waste your time. I'm going to ignore your message. That's the end of it today. If you are looking for resources to become a flight attendant, if you're still hanging with me, we do have study hall every Wednesday and every Friday. If you check the description, right there's the study hall sign up link where you can go, and that page has all of the dates, all of the information. But I do love you all, every single one of you. Every single person in my community is important to me and matters to me. And I have love for every single one of you, even if we agree differently. It doesn't change the way I feel about you, but I know that I'm responsible for all of y'all too. And it's my responsibility to offer protection and safety to every single one, because I am a safety professional, and that is the #1 responsibility for me. And so I hope that everyone's day continues to go along with happiness, and hopefully we will see real change. And this is just something we'll read about in a history book. And we won't even believe that it was ever like this.